Good evening, and thank you for being here tonight. We are doing our seventh and final campaign training session. Tonight, we are going to revisit fundraising with a master of fundraising, Mary Klinkose. We really appreciate all of you being here. I know many of you have been here for all seven sessions, and I hope that they have been valuable to you. I'll have more to say about the future of where we're going with this training series afterwards. But for now, I want to introduce our good friend and a great Democrat, Keith Ribnick.
Thanks so much, Matt. Good evening, everyone. A couple of quick announcements before we begin. If anyone has questions this evening, you can use the Q&A feature, and we will answer the questions after the presentation. This will allow us to capture your questions before the Q&A segment. We will send you a copy of tonight's presentation via email in the next few days. And finally, if anyone has questions that are not covered by the webinar, they can email Matt at chair@in4blue.com. Well, I'm absolutely delighted to introduce tonight's presenter, Mary Klinkose. Mary is an Indiana native with early experience under Secretary of State Joe Hogsett and Governor Evan Bayh. She worked in the U.S. Senate and at the National Governors Association in Washington, D.C. Mary led fundraising for the Michigan House Democratic Caucus and multiple Indiana campaigns. She also founded a consulting firm and the Indiana Democratic Women's Coalition PAC to support women candidates. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce and welcome Mary Klinkose. Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate, and it's such an honor to be with this group and be able to give some guidance in regards to fundraising for your upcoming campaign. The portion of the training, I will focus on fundraising and will provide some tools and tricks to get you started. The number one question I always get asked when doing fundraising is, when does one begin to fundraise? And my answer to this is always yesterday. It's never too early to begin to fundraise. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. Topics I'll be going over during this session will be planning a budget, some strategy to fundraising, who are you going to ask, call time and scripts, house parties and events, and most importantly, some volunteer roles. Next slide, please. Most importantly, though, I want to take just this moment to thank you. Thank you for deciding to run for office. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of integrity, and it takes a lot just to represent your community. It's important to be positive, be willing to listen, ask for help and advice, and be ready to win. Next, please. Why is fundraising important? Well, money makes the rest of your campaign possible. Without the money, you won't be able to do the necessary things to run a well-winning campaign, including not being able to get the necessary items you need and not being able to get your voice heard to a major and majority group. Getting your message out costs money. The more money you receive, the more votes and the more voters you can reach. Why will people give money to you? The most important reason why people will give money to you is because they know who is asking. They know you personally. You've told them why. They support your campaign, and you also might have causes that are familiar to each other. But most important, the reason why people give to a campaign is because they want to participate in the democratic process. Next slide, please. Creating a plan. First and foremost, it's important for you to get with your treasurer to put together a finance plan for your campaign. Beginning with a goal. How do we create a goal? How do we find out how much money we're going to need? The Secretary of State offers a link on their website to tell you what other candidates have raised for various campaigns. I strongly suggest you go to that website, look up, and see what other candidates have done in that race before you. Check with your county chair. They have experience in this. Check with others that have also worked on a campaign, such as yours, that have familiar ideas and familiar goals that you will have in order to figure out what your goal will be for the campaign. When you have figured out a goal, it's time to place together a budget. What will you need for your campaign? Will you be paying folks? Will you have a campaign manager? And how will you budget each category? For example, you'll need staff, yard signs, door hangers. I always like to throw in there miscellaneous, say in regards to providing pizzas for your volunteers one evening. These are important things to put together in your budget. It's also important to make sure you put your budget together with weekly goals, monthly goals, and quarterly goals. Now, how do we get started in all of this? This is where I refer you to the campaign guide, which is on page 4. Next, please. Crafting a message. In the communications section, you were probably referred to or taught about a 30-second elevator speech. This is a speech in which you will be using with anyone and everyone that you run into in regards to your message and raising money. You want to memorize the speech and use it when you are talking to your donors. Getting goals and giving potential goals. When putting together the list of people that you're going to be calling on to ask for donations, I usually always like to create a list, just a random list of anybody and everybody you know. Make this list, put it into a spreadsheet. And this can be somebody that's your neighbor, your Aunt Ethel, you're somebody from your church. Maybe it's somebody you kind of know or have a little bit of communication with. Put them on the list. And before you start, when you're making this and creating this list, I always suggest that you do a little history about the individual. There's ways in which you can go and check to see if maybe a possible donor has already given to a campaign. You can check with the Secretary of State's website, and that is on the guide as well on page 8, and check and see exactly where may they have given before. You can also check to see if they've given federally, and you can go to the opensecrets.org to find that. Other ways in which you can find out is by going to your list and making sure you put next to your list what you think they might be able to give. Say it's your Aunt Ethel and say in the past she's given $100 to various campaigns. That would be a great way to start on asking for money. Again, I always say it's important to start with your inner circle. Work with that group. Reach out to possible donors and support people that support you with like-minded issues. If you are big about saving your local waterways or creek and making that safe water, then get with some environmentalists in your community. Look them up. See who's in charge of those groups. Reach out to them and ask them for money as well. Next, please. General fundraising rules. We've discussed that you set up your fundraising goals. You need to spend money to raise money, doing your donor homework as I asked. Also, a big thing I always say is make sure you ask everybody for money wherever you go. Say you're in the grocery store line and you run into your neighbor and she's asking, well, what have you been up to? You say, well, I'm running for blank. She says, well, how can I help? Where can I give? If you have a QR code or a mailing address right there already on your phone, you can just say, here's my QR code, go to my campaign, donate. Here's my address. This is where you can send a check. It's very important to always have that handy and ready. Don't let a pledge get cold. What I mean by this is that if someone says, oh, yes, I would be happy to give to you, but I can't give you money until Friday. Could you send somebody by to get a check? Make sure you assign someone. Make sure you follow up. Make sure you go and get that check. Don't let pledges get cold. If they say they can give you money right now, or they say they can do it later, make sure someone is always following up with them. When doing any type of mailings, please always make sure you include a donation envelope. Make it as easy as possible for people to give to you. Another trick I have is don't make fundraising the last thing of the day. Make sure you plan it in your schedule, first thing in the day, how much you need to raise, who you're going to be calling. Don't make it the last thing that you plan for the day. The most important thing I think of about a campaign today is the thank yous, thanking donors. I have found in the years I've worked on campaigns, there's nothing better than a handwritten letter or a handwritten note to somebody who has given to you. The best way to do that is to maybe just buy some blank note cards and include your business card on there, which your business card should have your QR code on there as well, and handwrite a thank you note to someone. It goes such a long way today. Next, please. Tips on call time. You have to have a time, a place, and a person. Find a place that is quiet to make your calls. If you're working from your home, make sure you're closed off in a room, in the basement, wherever it's going to be quiet for you. You don't want to be interrupted by the doorbell, the dog, the laundry, thinking of something else you might or should be doing. Making the scheduled time varies on where your calls are to be made. Most calls can be made during the day. Everybody has cell phones now. So I have found in my years of doing this is the easiest and the best time to really find people or have them answer a call is between 4 and 6 p.m. Usually that individual is in their car commuting home, taking someone to a sporting event, something of that nature in which they have their cell phone handy. A quiet, uninterrupted place is the best time. The candidate, meaning you, need to stand firm that these are the set hours that you have put aside in order to make your call times successful without interruption. Next, please. So it's time to start dialing for dollars. Very important that you review your call time sheet that you have put together. Like I said earlier, I always like when a candidate, or I always ask them to put this in a Excel spreadsheet of some sort or whatever is easiest for you, where you can make some notes. You have the person's phone number, you have their name, you have what you think they can contribute, how much money you're going to ask them for, and you review this. You also stick to your script. In a few slides here, I'll show you some script ideas. Make sure you have your elevator speech memorized. Make sure you have your account blue and your address to your campaign handy. I always like to keep a pad of paper next to me as well to scribble down notes. Maybe there's something they say that they want you to follow up with, or that triggers you to follow up with them on something. It's always important to have the notepad near you. So we begin the call time, and you have how much you want to raise before the calls begin. A couple of tips I give to candidates is make 3 cold calls. Make calls to 3 people you might not know that well. And when you do this and you go through your script, then maybe the 4th call, call somebody you know. Call somebody that it might take a little more time, but it might relax you a little bit. It might help you a little bit. Sometimes I even have the candidate say, "Hey, I'm just giving you a call because I'm doing this call time, and I'm getting some good and bad calls, but I thought I'd call you and help cheer me on a little bit. And can you donate $250? Don't forget that part." So it's important to get in a comfortable conversation, maybe with someone you know as well, to kind of break up the cold calls. My other tip when making the ask is when you ask them for their money, or their donation, I should say, After you have made the initial ask, take a moment and count to three. Why I say that is you don't want to fill that silence. You want them to be able to think just for a moment if they're willing to do this, if they can do this, and then let them come back with the response, which I'll share some responses that you will have as well in the script following. So I just always say make sure you count to three. You don't need to fill that silence. I used to always refer to it as let them um, balance their checkbook or their finances to see if they are able to do that. When asking for a donor, say we've called, Miss Jane that you know from school, and say if you've seen in the past that she's always been able to give $100. My rule is to go high. If she's willing to give $100, you've seen in the past she's given $100, ask her for 125. Ask her for 150. You might be surprised. She might be in a different position at this point. She might have a different reason to give more at this point. In that time period, then you have gone from maybe thinking of asking her for 100 and you've actually gained maybe $25 or $50 in that call. So go high when asking. You will not insult them by asking them for more money. Remember when making your calls, to be asked for money is to give it's a compliment to them. You're saying, I respect you, I like you, I want you to be a part of this journey with me, and I need your support, and I want you to be a part of this process. Next, please. Before you begin the script for call time, go through the call tips again. Read through them again, just so you're sure you have everything you need in place, including your quiet space, your call sheets, or your Excel spreadsheets, your notepad. If you can get a volunteer or somebody to do this with you, it's very helpful. And then you can start calling your prospective donors. When we begin calling our prospective donors, keep in mind, most of your calls should take 2.5 minutes. Now, if you're calling Aunt Jane, who you haven't seen in many years, she's not sure what you've been up to lately, it's going to take a little longer. But normally, you don't want to be dragged into long, drawn-out political conversations about everything happening in the world. You want to keep your call time, very focused on you, what you stand for, why you are calling, and what you need from them. I have listed in here some scripts. I won't go through each one of them. However, I will go down a little bit here to responses. So you have called and they say, yes, I'd be happy to give X amount of dollars to your campaign. You make sure they have the information they need, how to get your ActBlue account, how to get to your website, what's your address, any information that's going to make it easier for them. I've even had people who trust me give me their credit card information over the phone. If they say they can't give you the specific amount that you have asked, make sure you say, I understand. And would you be able to give them another amount? So example, if you say, would you be willing to donate to my campaign $150? And they say, well, I can't do $150. Say, well, would $100 be acceptable for you? Would that work for you? Another thing that has come along that has been just wonderful is that you can now do donations by monthly givings, which is just wonderful. So you can ask them if they'd be more comfortable having a reoccurring donation. And that has been spoken, I'm sure, through the ActBlue portion of this. But that way they can go on ActBlue, they can check that box, and maybe they can't give the 100 right now, but maybe over a span of 4 months or something, they can give X amount of dollars and it will be easier for them. So that's another wonderful option. If they can't give anything at this time, one of the ways I like to, not make it awkward, I come forward and I say, well, would you be willing to put a yard sign in? Would you be willing to share some literature to some friends or neighbors? Or how about hosting a house party for me? Those are other ideas in which it gives a person to be a part of the process without the giving of the money. Giving their time is important as well. However, don't let them get away with saying, oh, I can't give anything, but can I get a yard sign? Or I can't give anything, but maybe somebody in my house will throw a party. That's important for then you to put them back on the call sheet, follow back up with them, keep up with them, because you're asking for their help one way or the other. If you appreciate their donation, the last bullet point is I appreciate your donation. And then I know that when I become the next state senator, controller, it will be an honor to represent you and the community. And you thank them and you tell them you appreciate their time. Most importantly, smile when you're talking on the phone. They can tell if you're smiling and that you are happy about doing this and asking. Next, please. Important things here is in today's day and age, we know good and well, we all do it, is that a lot of times we don't answer a phone number we don't know. So this is a very important section that I like to go over, in which leaving a message. So when you leave a message, it's important not to tell them exactly why you're calling. If you're to call and say, "Hey, it's Mary. I'm calling to ask, if you would support me in my campaign. It's going great. I could use a donation." I'm not real sure that person's going to call you right back. A way to reel them in, as I like to say, is you begin with, "Hello, my name is Mary. If you would call me back, I have some exciting news I'd like to share for you." You leave your name and your number and make sure you repeat your name. And you look forward to hearing from them. If I get a message like that, well, shoot, I don't know what they're going to ask me. I did have a candidate one time call and leave a message and I fell for it. He called to say he wanted my advice. We talked for a little bit, and at the end, he said, "By the way, would you be willing to donate to my campaign?" I fell for it because he said he needed my advice. He didn't ask or leave a message that he was asking for money. If you know the person you're calling and they don't answer, text them. Send out a quick text using kind of that same language again. "Hey, I just left you a voicemail. If you can give me a call back, I'd really like to share some exciting news." Again, don't tell them you're calling for a contribution. Leave them guessing with exciting news. Next, please. Events and house parties. Candidates sometimes fall in the trap in regards to fundraising as they tend to get wrapped up into throwing events and house parties, and they take a lot of their much needed time doing this. To me, I find this is a wonderful place to instill some volunteers into this. Maybe some close friends you have that would be willing to do this, because house parties and events take a lot of time. And this is time that you could be knocking on doors, you could be making phone calls for fundraising, and don't need to be wrapped up into this. But house party programs can be used for different types of fundraising donations. You could have small gatherings of maybe 25 or 30 people. Sometimes I've been to larger ones. It's important that you find a host that's willing to do this. Sometimes I find that somebody doesn't want to do this by themselves. Maybe they have a great house and they'd be willing to do this, or they're an attorney and they have a law office and they're willing to host something at their law office. If you find that you have some donors that are willing to help out or would like to piggyback with somebody on this, that's a great way to do it. You're bringing two people together that support you and bringing in two different lists of names. So planning a house party, then you have your hostess or your host. They are to put together an invitation. They are the ones who are to plan the food. They're the ones to invite the guests. They're the ones to follow up. Make sure your host knows and has very clear expectations of what is expected of them. Also, on invitations, when doing an invitation, a volunteer might be able to help the host committee put together an invitation. It's important that you make sure you know your crowd of who you're inviting. So if you're inviting a bunch of teachers per se, asking them for $1,000 donation might not be the best idea. Maybe it would be better to offer different increments, saying 250, 150, or sometimes I put other or what they may be comfortable with. I've also done a lot of meet and greet events. One of my favorites is I like to call them driveway parties. We've all been to the coffee houses. We've also been to, I know some people that have used small businesses in their community, in which it gives that small business a chance to host something like this for you, a meet and greet, and also to have their new shop or something that they're selling there as well. And they're able to invite in friends and invite people in from the community as well. But back to the driveway parties. So I came up with this about post-COVID, not too long after COVID. I found that I would ask a neighbor or somebody in a neighborhood if they'd be willing to have a driveway party. It's very simple, no cost. Put a card table out there. You put the candidate sign, maybe some balloons on the table, and you have the candidate out there sitting maybe, just some chairs. And you put flyers out to your neighbors or people in that neighborhood, and you ask them to stop by my driveway between 5 and 6:30 on Tuesday evening to meet a candidate that's running in our local community. It's very interesting because a lot of people are driving home and through their neighborhoods at that time. And even though I might not have heard from somebody that said they might come or they might not, lo and behold, they'd stop by. They were curious. What's going on over at Mary's? Who's that person sitting in their driveway? What's happening? So they would get out of their car, come over, and have a chance to meet the candidate. And the candidate then turned around and said to me, what a wonderful idea, in the sense that then when they went back to do door to door, they already knew a lot of these people. They had already met them. This is a wonderful time at this meet and greet to put a basket out there asking for, any donations they would like to contribute. I find it a fun way to get your neighbors together, get them involved in the process while introducing a local candidate. Next, please. I can't stress this one enough. Anything you put out, whether it's an invitation to something, whether it's your stationery, anything you put out, make sure you have a disclaimer on it at the bottom of your things. The guide on page 3 explains that to you. You never want bad publicity or be penalized because you don't have a disclaimer on something. So I strongly suggest that you and your treasurer really read over that page 3 of the guide. You can put QR codes on your invitations. I always stress using a union printer. If that's not possible, make sure you always have on there making your checks out to or the ActBlue account. If you're putting together an invitation and you're just going to be emailing it, that's fine. If you put it on social media, make sure you really think about who you're sending it to. I don't suggest blasting it out to everybody you've ever known. You're going to get a lot of kickback. You're going to get a lot of, who knows? It'll be a waste of time in the sense of you trying to answer everybody, in other words. I always say print, email, social media invitations. When you're coordinating with your host committee, it's ongoing. You have your volunteer, remember, not you. You don't need to be wrapped up in doing events and house parties. Make sure you get RSVPs and have somebody check to see if the host or hostess needs anything. Step two is following up with everybody. You have a sign-in sheet at your event. It's gone well. You have a basket up front. Everybody's donating, and the candidate, have given your wonderful, a little bit longer elevator speech, and you follow up or have a volunteer follow up afterwards. And when I say follow up, if there's been people that signed in on the sign-in sheet but didn't donate, or if there are people that you hear from your host or hostess that came to the event but did not contribute, or they said they were going to come but weren't able to make it, this is a great time to put them on your call time sheet for the next day. Put them on there. You can say things like, I'm so sorry you missed the event last night, or it was so great to see you at the event last night. Can I count on you for a contribution? It's a very easy way to work it into call time. Again, don't be doing all the events. It will take up way too much of your time. Next, please. Volunteering and fundraising. Volunteers play such an important role in fundraising and throughout the entire campaign. This is a time that you can use volunteers to help to get some history on some donors that you need done. They can assist during call time. They can do the research. I always use, when looking at ways that how much somebody might be able to give, I always look at Google and LinkedIn as well. That's a good place to find out maybe what they do for a living, maybe some things they're interested in. Because you could find out that somebody you're calling goes to the same church you do, and you never knew that. Volunteers are great for today's day and age with creating all the invitations and being a point person at events. They can also write your thank you cards for you. It'd be fine if they hand wrote thank you notes for you. I would feel that having a volunteer take an active role. Not only do they learn how to fundraise, but it might also entice them to run for office as well. So please use your volunteers. In closing, I'd like to just thank everyone for watching. Please feel free to reach out to me with any information. I know I've given you a lot of information at once, but if there are any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mary. That was a great presentation. If you have any questions, now would be a great time to ask them.
So how is this? I just left everything pretty basic in the sense of, I'm not giving away, top
Sure.
secret information here.
Yeah.
So just this goes then into a YouTube, you said, and you were sending it out that way?
So, well, we had 6 people who watched live, and then yeah, we will upload it to YouTube and then make it available for people. So we actually have subscribers now, which is
Okay,
nice. So
nice.
yeah.
Good, good.
Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Easy enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I said anything that,
No. Yeah.
you
And
couldn't figure out on your own.
but the point we've made in this is that this training is really for candidates who are running for office for the first time.
Yep.
And we've described it as the 101 level
Mm-hmm.
courses. This is the, high school plus version of
Yeah.
running a campaign.
Mhm.
So yeah, basic is what we're looking for.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
also like that it's Hoosiers doing it. I listen
right,
to a
yeah,
lot of different things, and you're like, who's this guy from Vermont?
right. And that's really kind of the key, is that we want people who have done it and done it here, because if you've been running campaigns in Malibu for 10 years, the level of difficulty is a little different than running campaigns in
Mm-hmm.
India.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Right, right. Well, good. This has been
so,
just a pleasure doing this and
well, thank you.
meeting new folks like yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sure we probably have crossed paths,
Oh,
but
I'm sure, but yeah, it's,
French Lick or somewhere.
right. A convention with 3,000 people at it.
Right,
So,
that's where I saw you.
yeah.
Same with you, Keith. Now I remember.
Yeah. Well, actually, funnily enough, Keith, I mean, Keith's not from Indiana.
Where
Keith
are you
is,
from, Keith?
in City, Colorado.
Oh, wow. Lucky you.
I have never actually met Keith in person. Keith is a
Mhm.
longtime friend of Teresa Brandon,
Oh,
and he has run a lot of webinars for the federal government. So
fabulous.
we've been underutilizing him, but he's
Hmm.
been a master at keeping us on pace.
Good, good.
So
Thank you.
we don't really have any questions. We have one comment thanking you for sharing your knowledge and experience with us, and I want to um, add my thanks as well.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm going to go ahead since we don't have any questions. I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to wrap this one up.
Okay.
Um, this was the seventh and final training session. We've been doing these. I think we started early August with
Okay.
Teresa Brandon presenting our campaign guide,
Hmm.
which I think most of the people on this call have access to. I suppose if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't have it, you can email me at chair@in4blue.com and I can make that available to you. Um, yeah, we've been recording this since early August, but I think the first time we had a call about this was probably in January.
Right.
This was an idea that had been kicking around in my head for months. And in the very beginning, started meeting with Teresa Brandon and Joe Mackey, talking about this. And Teresa really took the, took the bull by the horns and led this. It's easy enough when you're a chair to have ideas. It's harder to make those ideas come to life. And all that credit goes to Teresa and the team that she assembled. And I want to give credit the guide. Yeah, it's a funny story. Um, Linda Lassiter, the chair of Hendricks County, was given a box by her predecessor, who had been given to her by her predecessor. The best we could tell, no one had opened this box in close to 10 years. And when she opened the box to start sorting it out, she found this campaign guide that had been written. And so she passed it on to Teresa, who was in the middle of assembling one herself. And so she took this campaign guide and updated it for, the mid 20s and added her own touches to it. And so I want to start by thanking David Tharp and Nolan Bourne. They are both, I know David quite well. I think I've met Nolan a few times. They're both Democrats from Howard County who have been involved in the party for years. Um, their their work really was the genesis of the candidate guide. Along the way, we had Kathy Gross, Ann Bouja, Teresa Shearer, Peggy Apple, Tim Anderson, Joe Mackey, Dana Black, Mary Klinkose, Mike Oles, Kristen Self, Margaret Wielenberg have all joined us, have made contributions, have presented. They've assembled all this material that you've seen. And all of it, the important thing, like Mary pointed out, is that they're all people who have been involved in the party in Indiana. Every one of these people has been involved in a county party, a candidacy, has been a candidate, or helped run or work on a campaign. Every single one of them has real world experience in Indiana. Finally, I want to thank Keith Ribnick for joining us for these 7 sessions. Keith has no skin in the game, um, but has given of his time. That every one of these training sessions, there's also a practice run we do a few days prior so that the person presenting is comfortable and we all know what needs to happen to make this successful. And so Keith has given a lot of time of up to us to get this done. And then finally, I want to again thank Teresa Brandon for leading this project. Where are we going from here? As I've described, as I've said, this is the 101 level course. This is for people who are thinking about running for office. We're trying to get you interested in running for office. We want to make it seem a lot less difficult than it appears from the outside. I said on a different call that running for office doesn't require genius. It just requires a lot of consistent common sense. There was a pioneer in the computer field named An Wang. He made a really important development in the way memory in computers works and patented that and actually had his own computer company for a long time. He once said that success is far more a component of consistent common sense than it is of genius. And I've always thought that was a really important quote because Wang was a genius. I mean, this was a man of incredible intellect who had that significant contribution that you look at and go, that's a genius. And yet he gave all the credit to really just being consistent and doing the obvious smart thing instead of always trying to outsmart yourself. Too many people try to outsmart themselves in campaigns. There are no shortcuts. The tried and true tested manners of fundraising, like Mary said, it's calling people and asking for money. That is how you raise money. There's no shortcut around it. Call time sucks, but you have to do it if you want to win. Um, so we will come back at some point. You know, as I've said, this is months of planning and work to have gotten to this point. And so we are going to take a break with these sorts of videos. We will come back probably late spring after people have declared, after we have candidates, and we'll start giving them more specific knowledge. In the meantime, we're going to have a series. I don't know with what regularity we're going to record these. I'm going to talk to candidates who most of them probably have ran once or twice. You know, maybe they're new into their political career. What do they wish they had known before they ran? I think that's a really interesting question for people who are about to run the first time. And so and that's why I think we're going to focus on maybe those people who haven't ran a lot, is that it's still fresh in their mind. What do they wish they had known that first time they ran? So look for those. Those will be coming out probably in November. We'll start. Like I said, I don't know how frequently those are going to come out. We're going to do a lot of county party training, so that is going to take up a lot of our time. But we will come back in late spring. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you again to Mary and Keith and everyone who's been involved in making this a possibility. Good night.
Thank you.